Let's see. Let me put this here. Welcome, everybody. Yes, we're live. We're talking, man. We're already into the Giants. We're already, folks. We're so deep into this that, I think we're probably busting paradigms, Trina. It's amazing. How are you, Miss Trina? Good to see you.
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am doing well, and welcome everybody to what will prove to be another great show, no doubt.
We're in good company.
We are in excellent company. I absolutely know this to be a fact. Welcome. And thank you all the moderators. Hey, Kaz, Hawk, good to see you. So good. Marguerite is in, and Bianca is in. Pure Love Ascension. Big Al is in the room. Hey, Robin, good to see you. And Sarah, there's a song about you. Think Agape Love Always. And Dragon Soul Fox, hello. Master Troy, Hillard, and Terrell, good to see you. Love that name, Terrell.
Yeah.
She was a great looking elf, Badass too. That's all I got to say. Trina, good to see you. Hey, Twisted Isby, I am so glad to see you back in here. B3, good hello, and Heather. So, Trina, do you know the full moon is coming up? In fact, it's on the 12th.
Oh.
And where I live in Denver, the full moon will be 12/12 at 12:12 a.m.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Sounds like you've got some kind of Stargate opening up over your lands.
Well, I was not aware of this until, someone brought it up. I think it was my wife, Lynn.
That's profound.
Yeah. So
powerful.
What I say is that if you have any type of talisman, amulets, black mirrors, crystal balls, sigils, put them out in I'm hoping that there's going to be, no clouds. So they'll be charged and ready to go.
Yep. Powerful moon energies.
I was busy working on tomorrow's presentation as you and I were talking about the Giants, and I got a comment from someone I was called, I've been accused of being an occultist.
Oh, nice.
Yes, an occultist.
Yeah, that would only be accurate if you were like telling people what to do, but you don't do that, so therefore it can't work out for you. Yeah.
I just thought I would pull this up for everybody. Let me see. Here we go. So this is Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition of occult. Occult literally means not revealed, a secret.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're being real secretive, right?
Not easily apprehended or understood. I'm thinking if you're going to call me an occultist, hey, far out. I'm all behind that.
Know the definition.
Obtruse, mysterious. I love this. Hidden from view, concealed.
Yeah, nope. We don't cover any of that. We're all out in the open.
Or relating to the occult, not manifested or detected by clinical methods alone. So to be called an occultist is actually very honorable, and it's not a term of derogatory sense.
You know what I think you are, Wayne?
What?
I think you're a mystic.
I don't know. I've been called. Someone wrote to me, and she's in the chat room. I saw her. I think her students call me Master Wizard Wayne. So
mystic. You study the mystical, the magical, and you've touched it, and you know it.
Well, it changes. It really does.
Yeah.
This study of
you and I both came into this awareness through healing.
Yes.
Faith healing and healing. Yeah.
Someone was asking too, earlier, I saw it, healing. How does inner healing take place? And I just want to share this. One of the things, there are certain spirits, certain energy, soul energies that have a frequency and a gifting in the area of vibration, which we call healing.
Yeah.
They can transmit this by laying on of hands, which is the most effective, or it can be transmitted. I'll use the term the Raphaim use, the term of connecting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been studying this, and we're going to be.
I love it. It totally reminds me of Avatar.
Yeah.
The connecting, and you know, and the way we connect to our animals and our pets and stuff. I could totally see that. And you know, they always said that angels could talk to animals, and I bet that's just one of their natural abilities.
Well, this connecting that this race, these Raphaim had was an amazing gift. I mean, not only could they connect to an animal, they could then connect on a spiritual level, and they say it's spiritual, and actually change their body. They could change into a bear. Yeah, I mean,
you know what? Don't you think that's where all the shape-shifting legends of the Native Americans
had to have been.
And all of the animal totems are like, what is your animal totem? Because they would know that these people were connected. And this is funny because they call us the little selves.
Yes.
So we're fractals of them. We have to be. Have to be.
Very interesting point. And
yeah, they all come. They're a little self of planetary bodies.
I believe so. You and I were talking before
it's blowing my mind. I'm like, this is crazy.
It's a mind bender.
Yeah, it totally is.
You and I were talking before we came on live that the ability of these giants, I mean,
crazy.
It's amazing that the fact that they would bow down, you could see how a human would bow down to a giant.
Oh, yes.
You know,
if not for anything at all, utter fear of being eaten.
That alone would be, in fact, I had this dream.
You're like, that'd be enough to do it.
And I guess I was in that lucid state last night, but I remember distinctly walking down, it was this huge valley, and it was definitely semi-arid. And all of a sudden, I'm like on a set of a movie, you know, I'm dropped into this thing. Yeah. And the group I was with, we could actually see two giants on the other rim of the valley, and we're freaking out.
Yeah.
Because we have to hide.
Yes.
We don't know. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, now that mindset, people don't take that into consideration in the metaphysical community. They don't take it in the spiritualist community. This has been eradicated, Trina, from our consciousness that creates the values of how we see life, how we see God, how we see the universe itself.
Yeah, it's so much fear. I mean, oh my gosh, could you imagine to live in an existence like that? And we wonder why we have so much fear inside of our beings and our cellular codes. We have no memory of these things, but many of us went through them. Many of us experienced these things. We don't know.
We just don't remember. And that's that instinct, that flight or fight response.
Yes. And I wonder too, if this is a reason why a lot of women utterly panic when they get pregnant.
There is so much to that, because we're going to be discussing in length tomorrow. Baal speaks, and he's speaking to the Raphaim, is who he's speaking to. Wow. We are, and this is what he said. He said, the sacrifice has been sweet and been accepted. The burnt, smaller infants, not cells, the smaller infants, the babies. And I went, that would traumatize a species. I think, Trina, you took psychology. Think about this from a trauma point of view. It
goes all the way into the DNA.
Yes, ma'am.
A mother, an infant child, and the mother connection to that, as well as the father. You can't. These blood connections are real. So when that child was being burnt, the parents had to feel that and go through it and the anguish of it. This is the most ultimate kind of mind control, to be how you place people under absolute mind control and hypnosis is through utter fracturing their mind through trauma, repeated trauma, exhaustion, fatigue, because you're constantly living in fear. So these past existences that we've apparently gone through, they put a lot of understanding into my mind of how people are so utterly deeply traumatized.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Makes sense.
I keep thinking about this in the quiet moments. Thank you, Supertramp. Even in the quiet moments, um,
Yeah.
that this planet is a planet of hell. I mean, it
Yeah.
is not this sweet by and by love peace, man. This planet is planet hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew when I came in, when I had that vision, and it was like I just had the knowing that I understood this was a very, very dense existence and a very animal beast system.
So it's interesting you use that term dense. This is a white paper. Anybody wants it? And I want to thank Ben Davidson over at Suspicious Observers. He brought this out this morning. This is the most interesting paper on the fact that plants under stress change color, smell,
Yeah.
and shape. They
Yep.
scream in pain.
Yep. I can hear plants that are thirsty. I can hear the scream.
Amazing.
Literally, I've always been able to hear that. I could always hear that. Maybe it's because I was born in the desert and that's a familiar thing for plants to get thirsty. Literally, I could hear it.
And it would make sense that if you're an empath, a sensitive, that can be, there's certain people have the ability that can feel the ultra small waves before an earthquake.
Yes. Oh God, yes. Mhm.
So when I read this, and you can go over Suspicious Observers, he left a link, and I'll leave one. The thing about it is that they apparently, this is a living organism. It almost sounds like consciousness.
Oh, it is. I saw research with some plants that blew my mind. What they did was they had 3 cabbage plants and they had 3 different scientists. And then the first group of scientists, they all came in and they looked at the cabbage plants together. And then each one of them, one at a time, came in. The first one came in, looked again at the cabbage plants, touched the leaves, was just looking at them. The second one came in and just kind of looked at them. It really didn't do anything. And then the third one came in and went straight to one of the cabbage plants and started destroying it and killing it. They had these plants connected to electrofeedback and biofeedback where they could read. You could literally hear the other 2 screaming while the other cabbage plant was being destroyed. And then the craziest thing is, was they took the scientists back out of the room, and then after the one had destroyed the one plant, they brought the 3 scientists back in one at a time, and they brought the first one in that just touched them, didn't do nothing. The second one that, just basically stood there and just observed them. And then when the third one walked in, the other 2 plants started screaming.
The
They
murderer.
identified the murderer.
Yeah, yeah.
They have consciousness. They
Mm-mm-mm.
identified the murderer, so they definitely have consciousness because they knew the one that hurt their friend.
Think about this. I mean, as I was, like I'm building these slides, you get I get psychically attached to it.
I do too.
And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And it became apparent to me that these creatures, these giants, these Raphaim, the Nephilim, they controlled us psychically.
Oh, I think it's beyond our capacity to even fully comprehend that existence because it just, I mean, that's like, I think we would have been running from dinosaurs, running from giants. So basically, we would have been like insects.
And this turns upside down the whole evolutionary Darwinism, the 6-day creation. It's all upside down.
Yeah, this is about seeding. This is about
Yeah.
and this is about manipulating genetic codes. Yeah.
This is about completely bushwhacking us into thinking that there was this one reality, and where we've completely eliminated. I contend, I'm putting this in my book, that I believe I have stumbled upon the syntax, the synthesis of man's desire for a savior, a supernatural savior who will come on a white horse and redeem us from this curse.
Absolutely.
I'm getting this. I mean, as I'm reading this thing and I'm going, okay, now wait a minute.
It's so weird too. It's like when I think about that and I think about the curse, and then you think about the story of Jesus, well, like the one I know is different than everybody else, and it wasn't Jesus, it was a Lord dude.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is it's still worshiping within this construct, so it's still a trap. If you give worship to anything, it's still a trap. But this being, there's a story of Ron Wyatt where they found blood on the mercy seat of the ark that was hidden underneath where they say Christ would have been crucified in Golgotha, and they tested this blood, and it was one strand DNA. The only thing that was present were the female genetics, and it had the one male chromosome, but all the rest of the male code was invisible. I wonder sometimes if that was the redemption code, and that blood that got brought down onto this planet was bringing the polarity, the separation that made the dual helix, and it's bringing it back into unity, into oneness. And then when that one goes back together into one, I see it activating the 12. So, and the one becomes like the magical 13, which is like you.
Okay.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But this curse, I think, was a blood curse. It was genetics. Genesis.
Yeah, well, I think that it has a lot to go, because if the fact that these creatures were here, that alone begins to get some issues. Well, I just saw something that was really weird on the chat room.
What?
Well, it suddenly went blank, but then it had different code, like there's a code running in the background. Wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, it's just getting weirder every day, isn't it, Wayne?
So yes. So let's introduce a thought that I want to bring into our group, because this is what a second look does.
Yeah.
So let me propose a thought that there never was a crucifixion. There never was the time of the giants. Hear me out. Only because if you can look at this, and if you look at this, this is reality. You see reality both becoming a column and also a row. And as you immerse yourself into each one of these different realities, here's the weird thing. In that spot where the crucifixion was set to a place, let's use that as an example. Mm-hmm. It didn't actually happen here. It was actually happening in literally what I'm understanding would be a different reality inside the reality that we're in. It's kind of like your thought of the Russian Cupid doll.
That totally makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how those of us who are stuck in this realm could actually plug into and see that happening literally.
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw it happening with I did not like it at all. I did see it, but I saw this was something that was done kind of frequently.
It's a bizarre thought, because I'm thinking about I've been having to write to a couple of people who've lost some loved ones who've crossed over, and it's the only way that this really, when you begin to think about this in the plane of reality, I believe that we continue after we shed these bodies.
Oh, yeah.
And that would then say, Trina, that in essence, we're at a higher, different frequency, but we're still in the same plane. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think to move out of a plane is difficult. I think there's some type of a membrane that you're gonna have to bust through.
There's something going on. I contend.
Electromagnetic, or I don't know what it is, but I know that there's
There is something going on. I said this before, and I actually recorded it, and I'm writing the producer because I want to get permission to use it. But they actually recorded out in California. It's in the desert, in an old silver mining camp,
Wow.
and they had their camera set up, and they have this camera now that's called a full spectrum camera,
Uh-huh.
and so there's no one there. They're all off doing things and their EVPs and other places. And as the camera is rolling, it picks up literally this full body apparition, takes full materialization, and you could tell that the person was like going to work.
Yep.
It was a miner.
Yep.
I mean, that tells me that.
I've seen stuff like that before.
Yeah.
I've literally seen that. I've seen, well, we have a lot of old, out here, there's a lot of old history of cowboys and Indians. There's a lot of.
How close are you to Superstition Mountain?
Oh, I used to live 15 minutes from it.
Okay. That is, I think it's one of the 12th most energetic vortexes, sacred mountains in the world.
I think it's, yeah, and so many people disappear out there.
I bet.
It's crazy. Oh, the statistics are off the hook. It's as bad as Yellowstone.
Now, have you ever gone out there?
Yeah, but not deep in.
Okay.
But yeah, literally. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. My daughter wants to go camp on this bluff, so we might go do it. But yeah, I don't know. The energies there are very powerful. And like I said, people like me that are sensitive to that, you got to be careful with that.
You could trigger literally a vortex, whoop.
That's what I mean, yes.
Like, oh, crap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I lived in Knoxville, myself and a group of 2 other people, we decided to go to Brown Mountain, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something about that area that what we saw, I don't believe it was extraterrestrial. What I really do believe, it was interdimensional.
Spiritual. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the lights were just absolutely amazing. They seemed to have intelligence, and there was. I felt, and I'll tell you what I felt. It's like, you ever been around when a lightning bolt hits close by?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how you get that taste in your mouth?
Yeah, and that weird vibration.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's what I felt when I was out there.
Wow.
And I'd just be curious if, I mean, it opens your eyes. It's like, well, then what? Because the tail's out there.
I'm telling you what, too, the Grand Canyon, Wayne, down in the bottom, that's giant energy down there. If there ever was, I'm telling you what, like the hills have eyes feelings. There's certain parts of the canyons, and there's certain parts they don't let anybody go into. And this is why. I'm telling you, there's some crazy stuff down there, and there's crazy stuff in Sedona, too. The energy's there.
Yeah.
Off the hook.
Miss Trina, you live right next to that.
Always. Yeah, I've always been in the midst of it. They told me, they said, you need to stay in this area because they told me this is your tower.
Mm-hmm.
And they said you're anchoring energy. They're like, well, we'll move you around, but you will always be an anchor. And you're there wherever, they said, wherever we put you, you're put there so you could ground energy there. I was like, okay.
I mean, I absolutely do believe that. It was.
Many of us are the ones that are empathic. You're towers. You're the ones, the receivers.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're the ones that can anchor the energy and the light faster than the other humans because we're receptive in nature. So yeah, we are these towers. And they told me too, they're like, you are not the only one. I'm like, oh, I know. There's a whole bunch.
You're not the only one. You're going,
That's
yeah,
right.
I know
And there's a
that,
whole bunch in this chat room right now. It's like, oh yeah, we're
it's,
talking to you all.
absolutely.
Yeah.
um, I am actually pulling up something. So, because one of the strangest things that I've ever had here was I actually encountered my own EVP.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
Oh.
let me see here. I'm doing this as you're talking, and
Drive it in the bus and try to
yeah,
talk.
you go ahead and drive the bus. I'm like,
Yeah, that's challenging. It's hard to even keep up with chat and talk. And oh man, I can't
yeah,
imagine
it's like,
doing all that stuff. I'm like,
no, I
whoa.
can't do that, man. I can only get to it. But the thing about it is, it's let's see, I don't know, quite frankly, where I put it. Have you
You're
ever
like, where
done
did it
that?
go? Somewhere in this beast of files.
It's
I can't
it's
imagine going through your files. That's got to
yeah,
be insane.
it's it's somewhere. Uh,
You're like, somewhere.
it's and I know it is. Let's see. I wonder. But anyway, I was going to pull up the actual EVP itself, but let's see. But I can't do it. It's too distracting. I have no idea where we are.
Yep. You're like, I don't
Yeah,
know
does
where.
that ever happen to
That's
you?
profound though. Did you hear it with your ears and then catch it on the recording too? Or
I
just the recording?
just on the recording.
Oh, okay.
And
I've heard, and then like you could hear it on the recording too, but I heard it before it went on the tape.
ah,
Yeah, I heard it with my audible ears.
well, what this one was crazy. That's all I got to say. It was
Really?
crazy. It was one of the most freakish. I don't know. How do you say this? It sounded like hell. It sounded like torment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it really did. And I'll send you. It's one. It's on my favorite part. But yeah, it was the wildest thing. And I had a friend that had a analyzer at his home and put it through a number of different speeds and frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever was being tormented there. And then I thought, a mile from where we live, they found a full skeletal remains of a triopolates, whatever the one of the big thing that had three horns, big old thing.
Wow. Trinoceros, I think. Is that right?
Yeah. Trisoporus?
I don't know.
Come on, folks. Someone there will help us out on
But
that.
the three horned, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
rhinoceros.
Like a rhinoceros, but
Yeah,
much,
like
much
a
bigger.
huge. Yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. Really? They found the skeleton?
Oh, they found them all. They found another one about 5 miles from here.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of dinosaurs that were here. And I contend that when the cataclysm happened, some whatever they may say how many thousands of years ago. I hate saying millions because who knows? I don't know. No one knows what the date is. But I contend that that energy that those animals felt at the moment of death from the cataclysm was captured in this area. The Indians believe that energy, particularly energy that in the event of a traumatic death, the blood soaks the ground, that the life is in the blood.
Yeah.
And that the blood will speak because the ground is always the ground.
Yeah, remember when Cain killed Abel?
Yeah, yeah.
I can hear his blood crying from the soil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
as I've been looking at these giants, they're really into the blood, baby. I mean, it's a freaking bloodbath everywhere.
I think it's back to the whole the sacrificing of the blood and the drinking of the blood. It's about food. It's about chemicals. And it's about genetics.
Lynn and I were talking that this realm of reality that we're born into, and she says, it's only when you wake up from, a religion, because everything in the religion, you depend upon the deity to provide
outside of yourself, right? It's
exactly.
All you're waiting for it to come, but
mm-hmm.
yeah. whatever. Yeah.
And she said, no matter whether you're a vegan, whether you're a carnivore, the fact is we have to eat something.
Yes.
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 Whether
And
it be
I
dead or
truly
alive.
do. And I hate to say it, I truly do believe that because of the genetic modifications, there's like my blood type mandatorily needs red meat. The only
Yes.
blood type that does, but it requires it. And literally, I didn't eat meat for over a year, and my homeopathy was like, you have to eat meat. It's messing your body up. I was like, oh man. Yes, I don't eat a lot of it, but literally there's certain proteins that literally are vital for my system.
I have an article I'm going to do on my Thursday night radio show from a Confessions of a Vegan.
But
And
the way
so,
we eat is wrong, Wayne. What we
oh,
do to animals is wrong, and we need to modify and limit our consumption of meat. And I
but
mean,
now
there's
they're
better
giving us
ways to do
chemicals.
this. Yeah, I think there's better ways to do this, but I do think we've been modified to where we are now giants. We're part giant. I think that's the reptilian part of us is from giant.
And it's a screwed up reality, as Lynn was saying, we were talking, is that you have to consume something here.
You do. You have the bottomless pit is
It's
inside
like,
of your
man,
stomach.
it's like,
Yes.
it's like, this is nuts. And,
Yeah.
and that stomach hole area, spiritually where the soul is concerned is
Yeah.
where I think the soul really does reside.
Yeah, I think it does too.
It's in the
And
stomach.
I think so too. That's the gut complex. It's your gut
Mm.
knowing, and knowing is the most truest part of you because there's no interference. It's knowing.
Well,
I don't,
it's the greatest alchemy that we don't even think about. We're
yeah,
putting raw energy, Vulcan, and that metamorphosis process breaks it down into complex proteins.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So let me throw this into the thought. The story about the Greys. One of the things that I've often found unique about the thought of the Greys is their physiology, is one that is much more what we would call lean, no areas of the ability to digest food. And here's what I found out, and I was doing some reading on this. According to Ariel, Alien Interview,
Yep.
their skin is designed to take in all that they need for energy and expunge all their waste energy through the very skin. Come to find out, our bodies could do the same thing, but they messed with us.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, that makes sense.
Wouldn't that be the ideal place to actually, in an environment where you're actually taking nothing out of the environment other than
Well,
the...
the breatharians, they live off of breath, and there are people that do this. So it's physically possible.
Talk a little bit more about that. The breatharians. Yeah.
The ancient ones, the breatharians, they would literally learn through meditation and practice to control their physiological body to where it did not consume anything except for prana, light, and air, spirit and light. Yeah. Some of them wouldn't even drink water for years.
Would make sense. I mean,
And they say it's, scientifically you would dehydrate in 3 days. Yeah, because that's how the vibration, your frequency is out in your physical anatomy. But if you're in the state of a breatharian where you meditate and your vibration is so high that you're literally in resonance with the life-giving frequency of living light. So they're literally able to pull that light out of, which I believe is one of the definitions of manna. I think manna has many forms, and I think that's one of the forms of manna from heaven.
I like that. I like that.
Spiritual food. You can get it through the gift of mushrooms that open your mind, because I think a lot of manna was about hallucinating. So I think there's a few different ways to look at it, and that's the way I love. Like I have so much religion of the Bible and stuff in my head, but I've never seen it the way other people do. So for me, it's different. Like my description of manna, I would see spiritual breathing, and I would see hallucinating, connecting to spirit. I would see like medicine man chanting. I would see these things in my vision, and that's how I would perceive it. When I would read it, they received manna from heaven. I would just close my eyes and let my mind tell me what it sees, and it would show me many things.
I'm right there with you. I will probably, when I leave this temporal reality, the initiation you were talking about, I never saw it as that, but as I look back in my very early years, with one would say the experimentation of lysergic dithylamate, along with peyote, but I learned from particularly a medicine man on peyote, and it takes you places.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful there. You can go there in guided meditation.
Yes, yeah, yep, very easy.
Yeah, it's amazing because these are literally natural processes, and there's so many different ways to get there. And this is where I've been able to see the gifts of profound spontaneous healings and miracles, is when people were in this state of mind.
Yeah, and it really takes a person. You see, the thing that when I was in Christianity and went to the healing rallies that whether it was Oral Roberts, Kenneth Hagin, Kenneth Copeland, Joyce Myers, whatever. And the thing about it was observing, working as a person right up there, there is a physical manifestation of energy, but it comes from the audience.
Yes.
The audience is singularly focused in on one individual.
Absolutely. That's when you can see the fire walking. That's why you usually see them done in large groups, because the people, they bring that resonant frequency into this realm.
Yeah.
And you literally can start bending and defying the laws of matter, because the power of belief is stronger than the power of matter.
Now, I've seen the very same effect, folks, at a rock concert.
Yep.
So it's not the fact that it's in a religious setting.
No, it's the people.
It's the people. It's the absolute. I've been in, political rallies, the same thing, and I contend you could get healed at a rock concert.
Oh, you can.
For
sure. Yeah, those DMT responses, those chills you get when you hear your favorite artist playing, and when the music is just moving you, that's healing. That is such powerful mojo.
I've wanted to tell a few people that were actually in wheelchairs, they were almost at that point where if they had the faith to do it, they could have stood up and started digging to the vibration.
Absolutely.
If
everybody just turned at that person in the wheelchair and looked at them and said, "Today's your day to heal," and they started singing and focusing on them, he would stand.
I agree. Trina, I was at one time a very frequent flyer of a lot of miles, and I mostly rode up in first class. So, but I began to notice a phenomenon that took place at about 35,000 feet. You see, I would observe people who would want to board the plane first. And I mean, they're using crutches, they're using canes, they're using, wheelchair assist to get on.
Yep.
And the most amazing thing is that when the plane lands, there was a mass healing, because these very same people
walk right off.
Exactly. They don't need no freaking cane now, brother. In fact, they'll run your ass over.
Yep. First to get on and the first to get off.
I mean, I don't know if it's Jesus, Allah, whoever is up there. All I know is that there is a number, and I asked other friends, I said, "Do you ever see that?" And they came back, it's the weirdest phenomenon.
Yes, I've seen it too.
You have? I mean,
have seen it. I was like, "You sure were gimping to get on this plane, and you're like running out." I was like, "How did you do that?"
It's like the damn guy's a marathon runner.
I've seen it. I have seen it. Yeah, I'm telling you, we really do pick our programs.
Oh, I tell you, we do. And it's getting back to someone, and to be in all seriousness, One of the things that I have found where healing is concerned is it is usually attached to a fear. And sometimes you have to dig deep to find out what that fear is.
Yeah. You got to find that root and pull it.
Yeah, but here's the thing I'm learning. These dark ones, Nick is going to be on Friday. We're going to be talking about the dark ones.
Oh.
I'm now almost convinced this is what Lilith was teaching us about the hordes of demons that her and Samuel bred. But it seems like these dark ones, they attach to those fear vibrations, those fear memories.
It's like caviar for them.
That's a perfect term.
Yeah, that is their
High five, girl.
Yeah, caviar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They love when you're scared.
And that's what I'm trying to tell the person who's been asking on this is that I believe in healing. I believe it takes place. I do it. I lay hands on myself, as I tell everyone, every morning.
Yeah,
I do. I mean,
absolutely. And like I said, you almost died and you're still here. You healed. You healed. You did that. Yeah.
Well,
what was going on in your physical body was designed to definitely take you down, and you didn't. You know, it's like, yeah, we're in more control of what's happening in our reality than we understand.
Now, how do you approach it for yourself in the area of healing?
Oh God. You know, when I was diagnosed with the hepatitis, when I heard the diagnosis, literally instantly in my mind, I was like, I don't like that, and I'm going to go talk to somebody else. I did not believe it. So when I went to a different doctor and he said, you have 3 weeks to throw off the antibodies. And I was like, okay, I can cure an incurable disease. He's like, yeah. He's like, if you throw off these antibodies and you only have a certain amount of time, da, 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 da. I was like, oh, done. And I just decided at that moment, game over, I win, you know, and it was my mind. And I was young. I didn't have the obstacles and the more barriers we put on our own potentials as you get even older and older and older. So when you're still younger, you're like, oh, I can do anything still. So, you know, I'm like 20 years old. I'm like, oh, I got this. So
like a rock.
Yeah, went home and went to him on Friday, went back to the doctors on Monday. They drew more blood, and then they called me on Tuesday morning. They're like, you need to come back. We've got a blood error. Because I'd already cured myself.
Excellent.
It's like, you know, it's what you believe. So then when I was in the renal failure and they couldn't find out what was wrong with me, literally I was forced into a position where you have to go outside of the box and you have to learn how to take care of yourself or you're going to die. So I went to a homeopath again, and again, he saved my life and told me what to do and fixed me right up. But all these weird experiences have brought me to this awareness that healing and what you bring to yourself, like I brought things to the plate doctors couldn't fix.
Okay.
That's pretty screwed up.
I'd agree.
So, you know, so it made me go outside the box. And it literally, it has to come from within you. You are the only one that can make yourself sick, and you are the only one that can put yourself back together. And many of us bring on these challenges to learn important lessons. And for me, it was about my own inner physician and the truth about know thyself and the truth about connecting to, on one part of it, it's part of the programming that you're alone down here and that nobody understands nothing. A part of it was that program coming into that I really had to walk alone because nobody could create for me what I wanted to create for myself. So I literally had to find a way to come into that power. And I found that was through the way I thought.
Interesting. I mean, there's many different paths to this.
Yeah.
Many. Yeah, it's
many.
Listen, I know the element that we possess, this thing that can be defined as faith, it can be defined as the belief system that charges our beliefs, shows itself in many different ways. You know, one of the things that I have been considering that, and it's been years, is the deliberate reassembling of DNA through genetically modified organisms.
I think that's what they're trying to do to us
I
because
think there are too.
I
Yeah.
think that they understand that this new light that's coming in might be what puts us back together. It's the only sign in the zodiac, Wayne, that's a man. The only one.
Hmm.
And he's carrying a water pitcher. That's new code, new light. This must be the window that they are terrified of.
I'm thinking about how the Giants would view that.
They'd freak out because this might be the end of their genetics, because this could be the restoration of original codes. And if those original codes are restored, that means the ones that are not supposed to be here might literally start to dissolve and break down. And the ones
they say
that are permissioned, the ones that are organic and true to the codes and books of life, those might be the only ones that will be left standing.
So are we talking about the insect-sized gods, or are we talking about their giant big gods? I mean, that's an odd concept.
I think it's above that.
I think it's like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that we're actually living inside the skull of an ancient beast creature.
I have totally seen that we're inside of a brain. I've totally seen
Yeah.
that. I'm like,
I mean,
really?
the universe, when you look at it through a plasma electromagnetic universe, it looks like synaptic pathways.
It sure does. It absolutely does. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, because I've seen that, and that was crazy.
Lynn actually believes that that's what it is, that when we die, we just simply get absorbed back into, we're our own neuron, and we're speeding along, and, I don't know. I mean, it's, when you think about.
All is Tom, Wayne. So that's a Tom. All is that cell.
Yeah, well, and some say that the atom is only the atom because it has both an electron and a neutron.
Mother and father.
And a positron.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how can an atom exist?
Like I said, I think that's true for this realm, but I've seen higher realms that are totally different cellular structure, and it's made of light. It's not.
When I was talking with Roger over at Mudfussil University, we had a phone call, and I was telling him, I said, I believe that consciousness actually exists down to the cell.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. I think so. Yep.
Isn't that what we're doing right here? This is a combination of a cooperation of billions of cells.
And it's so funny, Wayne. What do they call the technology? Cell phones.
Yeah, ain't that the fact? The same.
Because, they're copying our original abilities that we communicate to each other through our blood, our cells.
In the early days of the internet, which I was a part of, we came up very quickly with a way of how to begin to continue to exponentially expound information. And so you came up, and it was all the basics is that using node technology. Oh, wow. A node would be a central receiving station of information, and then there would be another node for it to connect, and it would share information. You would actually call it a data silo.
Wow. That's profound. I was literally, when you're saying that, I was seeing tiny little pyramids all over, like a.
By the way, I contend that the Raytheum were the ones who built the pyramids.
Oh, I bet you're right.
I don't think any human had anything to do with it.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out, well, what the hell were they doing there, Martha?
Yeah. It's so weird. When I tapped into that one time, because I've asked that question so many times, and one time I literally saw big giant men literally making sounds and using magic, and they were melting them and lifting them and doing all kinds of stuff with them.
They would have known about the frequency.
Like seeing it. It wasn't even like it was a big deal to watch.
Yeah.
It was like normal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I totally do. I think that, Trina, there's something I keep condemning. I even told Jeffrey that on Sunday's show that
What if the Raphaim are the actual, what if those are the actual true fallen?
I think they were something, yeah. I don't
Original
know.
fallen angels. I wonder if that's Raphaim.
What if Tiamat was where we originated from, and this planet, as close as it is to the sun, was the planet of the big beings? And I'm just throwing this out there because history in its timeline is all screwed up. They never account for the asteroid belt
Yeah, I think Tiamat might have been home to the giants.
or home to us.
Big us, not little selves, big us.
Well, if there was a big us,
I think
man,
we come from those, so how could we not have a larger form? I don't know. I've seen aspects of myself that is massive,
I, yeah,
massive,
I
massive.
contemplate the spiritual aspect of this, and I'm finding out that these creatures were very spiritual.
It seems like everything here is about copies and little selves and fractals and
Yeah.
simulations and illusions, dreams, brain, mind, thought. Um, what if we are an aspect projecting out of what they call these sleeping giants? And what if this is the time when the giants awaken?
You're
Meaning,
not getting any argument out of me. I mean, this is,
yeah.
yeah,
And what
it's,
if that's how we reconnect to our ancient past? And what if we are these actual giants and these little selves have been brought out of those giants? But what if those giants are the fallen, but we actually come from before the fall? And what if that's what we're actually able to finally reconnect to and heal, is the reconnection to the truer aspect of ourself, which is the original, sparks and divine children out of creation, which I'm pretty sure, Wayne, are huge.
I think they would have to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
huge, gigantic.
I, it's, see, the word connecting is one that those creatures used, and I am quite taken aback of their spirituality, but their spirituality is not like ours. Um, it lensed on the grotesque. It
I think that was because of the fall. I think when the draconian reptilian mingling to make us be able to inhabit this planet took place, to bring us down into those lower dense vibrations, I think we had to use a template, and I do think it came from dragon and draconian. I for some reason I think it got sick. It got like a virus,
hmm,
and it went out of balance, and it literally became like a cancerous virus, and that's why I think we're quarantined. And that's why I think we were called the antivirus.
listen, as I have, I tell this to other people who have a very difficult time breaking out of a particular mindset, is that you have to keep an open mind on this, because at this point everything is still on the table. It's like,
Oh, totally. And everything that we did have recorded about our history, most of it has been destroyed and burned.
mm-hmm,
So
yeah,
we don't have access to the truth. So literally we have to use our own cellular recall, our own cellular memory. Dive into your own records because they are within your codes in your body. So you can tap into these visions and tap into these memories. And I've literally, like, I've seen a lot of these ancient stories. I've been able to view them through simply just using your imagination. You think it's not real, but it's probably more real than this.
no argument at all. I mean, it's obvious that something is missing.
A
Um,
lot.
Og says that he, in their writings, that they can remember a time before humans. Now,
Yeah.
I studied angelic script for years, studied it from the Kabbalah point of view, then got into more of the occult point. But the interesting thing about that is that in the time of the angels, they remember a time before man.
Yes.
So no matter how we slice it and dice it in the Slicer Dice Automatic 2100, hello, Dan Aykroyd, it it indicates we very well could be a pretty recent addition.
I think it's a part of, that's why we keep getting these concepts coming up of these Russian dolls and these little cells.
Yeah.
There's something to this. We are a fractal of our true being. So we need to find out what we really are. We need to find out what we truly are.
Mm.
What is our origin?
I meditate on that so much that I kind of figure it's like this, Trina. If I continue to put the thoughts out there, someone's going to go along the information highway of the spiritual realm, say, hey, Steiger, yeah, I could give you a little insight on that.
You know what's crazy? Because I've gotten insight, but the thing is like, Wayne, I really do think we might be like inside of a brain. And what you think about, you will bring about. So your thoughts will determine what happens. It really seemed to be this way.
To use a term that of what one rabbi teacher said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is.
Yes.
I mean, and isn't that a good point for people too when you talk about healing? So what is your inner vision of yourself? How do you see yourself?
You know, when I tap into my when I try to say what am I and who am I, where I always go into is my heart and my gut. And I go into that, and it's everything's in there. Everything. So what am I? I think I'm everything. Part of everything. What am I as a human? That I'm still trying to figure out. I haven't figured all that out yet. But I do know that it's a fractal of my true source and my true essence of me as a being that still has an individuality to it, a perception of I am. But I think that there are even positions above the I am that you go into the oneness of all that is, and there's no you anymore. So, you know, that might be some eventual process we go to. But right now I think we're here to, I think like to fix the problems in the universe. And I think that many of us here now, we're literally the antivirus. So we were literally called in to this mission to fix this planet and fix the energy and usher in this new age, because that's what we're doing. We're here at the age of Aquarius, and this only happens every 26,000 years. So I have a feeling many of us that are here right now, we were called because of what you have accomplished in your past lives. So we need to remember what those gifts are so we can express them here and now.
And then there are times for myself when I feel like I'm just merely sitting at a console. I swear.
Me too.
I see that more than I see anything else, that when I pass on, I think I'm just going to get up from the console and just disconnect from the console.
Yeah, and that could
That
very
sounds
well
weird.
be.
I know.
No, I see myself sleeping.
Yeah.
Connected to a machine.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. My sleeping beauty is what I call her.
Yeah.
She's sleeping. And then I had that vision of cutting myself out of the serpent.
That's pretty profound.
That was a profound vision. That one
That's
rocked me.
very profound.
Yeah, rocked me. Still does to this day.
Yeah,
something with the serpent seed, and there's something about getting out of it. This much I do know. Well,
and that's just it. I think they know that. I swear, I think there are those of us who will at least get the insight to say, I have figured out my portion of this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
More than this construct that they're telling me is only what I am.
Yeah.
I'm knowing I'm more. And that in its own right there, I think, is literally the biggest key to get free from lower density if you choose to. Like I said, I think many of us came here on purpose. And like some of us, you know, like me, I think I was like, oh yeah, I'll go and help out. And then when it came down to it, I was like, what was I thinking, Forrest? What was I thinking? You know,
I think
I forgot what it felt like. The feeling was just like, oh, I can't do this. Yeah. So it was crazy, but I really do. I think we came here for a reason.
Yeah, I do too. I do. And I think so often, sadly, that he get off the path. I look in my life and there were a few diversions, and it's to say the least.
I think they send in the diversions to try to get us off track.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just see how smart you are.
Well, yeah, I
Okay.
think when you start manifesting and creating and you're on track with your soul's idea of what it was supposed to be doing, I really do think it's like you have that signal over your head and people know. And the dark powers, they don't want that, because this is what they're trying to avoid, is this awakening. They're trying to stop it. They're using chemicals. They're using all of these things, putting us in fear-based modes. All this is being done on purpose because something must be happening.
Yeah, you know what I tell those punks? I mock you. Let's see your power. Manifest your sorry ass before me. And I said, you and I will talk. You know
Absolutely.
what? They won't manifest. They run.
No, they really won't when you're in your power. They really don't want to. And
No,
that's interesting, because I wonder with why.
I don't know, but I laugh at them. I literally laugh and I tell them I mock you. I said,
Mhm.
you're so powerful. And I keep on telling them, when I cross over, I'm coming to kick your ass.
Mhm.
Boom, they're gone.
It's funny too. It's like it's like we're herded in this reality, and we're working and we're slaves pretty much. And it's not the happy world most of us imagined we would be living in. These guys, if they lose the fear, none of their fear tactics will no longer work, and the world would automatically shift.
Think
That would be a
so.
great place to be in. Yeah, and if people start losing the fear of death, because you just know you don't you don't die. You just change form, but you don't die. So it's going to
It's
change the world. I really
it
do.
is.
That's a frequency thing. It really
It
is.
is a frequency. It's fine tuning.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a metaphysical mom. I hadn't seen her before. Welcome.
Hi, Cool.
Gonna cool. I like that name.
I do too.
That's
I
pretty
do too.
cool. Well, and there's Constance. Hello. Well, another A Twisted Isby. Well, another hour has come and gone, my dear.
It's crazy. All these voices that we can't hear that are affecting every single.
They're all around us. They really are.
And I think all of this community, you guys get hit with the, trying to slow you down and keep you off track, because you're close. You're on track. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're exploring and learning and trying to figure out the truth about God and yourself and all of it. That's powerful. Powerful work.
Yeah. I'll share something with you as we're going out. Um, in a meditation, one of the things that came to me is understand this. There's no one qualified to judge you.
No.
The only one who is qualified, there's no God, there's nothing. The only one who's qualified to judge you is you.
Yes.
So,
You record yourself.
yeah,
You are the one who experienced with yourself. So you know the truth of it. You know how it feels. That's the most amazing thing I see, Wayne, is like there's a part of us that's above us that sees more than we do. It can see through the eyes of the person we're interacting with as to where we can't. That's still part of us. How is this happening? These are the questions I'm asking now. I want to know, who is the observer within me?
one of the things I do is I always put the little stick-em note going, okay, Steiger, read that.
Right, right, right.
All right. All right, Miss Trina, thank you, everyone.
Love you
We'll
all.
see you next week.
Yes.
It's been a great, honored by all of y'all, and thank
And
you.
this book, I can't wait till you read it tomorrow. It's blowing my mind, Wayne.
There's
Really
one
is.
scene in there, and this is, because of my film and production background. So I'm used to doing storyboards,
Yeah.
and the storyboard, as you write it out, which are slides,
Mhm.
they have one scene in there in which they say that when the rain started,
Mhm.
which we knew as the Great Flood, Noah's Flood, however you want to term, that it got so intense, they said that the water was like being poured out of a pitcher.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
Whoa.
wherever you walked.
Whoa.
Oh, it's
He
it's
said it
so
was
great.
like the windows of heaven opened up and poured out the waters.
That's what they
That
were saying.
that's what I kind of saw in my vision when I read that in scripture, and then for it to be confirmed again in this. See, to me, this is profound. This is so much of our Bible.
Oh, wait till
It's
you read
mind-blowing.
Ephesians 6:12.
Whoa.
It's going to blow your mind. And one other thing, the scene, this battle scene takes place in a desert. And when the flood started, oh man, yeah, wait till it's
Intense.
far out, man.
Yeah, this book is somehow I hope it's doing for other people what it's doing for me, but it's literally it feels like it's awakening my past memory.
It's for me, as grotesque as I find it and offensive, the shock of it is that I believe this. I really
Oh, I
do.
do too.
I believe maybe not the story as it's saying here, but something like it.
Something similar. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
something close. These stories were given to us by people who wrote them down.
Yeah,
They're just people like us.
yeah.
So, yes, and stories get twisted. Everybody knows you tell somebody one thing, by the time it gets to the 50th person, it's completely a different story. So, we have human error, but the essence of these stories, the essence of our ancient past that have been seriously hidden from us, we're getting back into this. And I have a feeling that this might be part of how this genetic codes start to reawaken.
As Chevy Chase would say, "Come on, baby, let's do the twist." Anyway, all right, stay with me. All right, folks, we will see y'all later, and thank you again, and we'll be here next week.